All right, welcome back to the Canadian Gun Vault, Behind the Vault Door. My name is Mark Morelli. I'll be your host for today's podcast. I'm here with my good friend Nick, a Webley lover and vintage gun aficionado. Nick and I have been sitting around kicking some ideas around, thinking about how to make the business end of the Canadian Gun Vault fly. For those of you that don't know what we're doing, I mean, we're trying to elevate the firearm community here in Canada and bring it to where it should be. Bring it to the public and to show the mainstream public exactly what it is that we're doing out there, and enjoying ourselves. For those of you that have seen us on the Instagram page, you know now that we have a live website where we're selling some merchandise and we're getting into some products and services as well. But we're just on Shopify, but we're going to start to expand now into full-blown web access. That will be accessible to those around the world. We've got people in Sweden and in Germany all are already asking about tactical woodworks, custom wood grips, and we're very excited about selling these types of items and getting the name of the Canadian Gun Vault out around the world. I've seen gentlemen in Egypt shooting wearing my hat. I love that. It's really exciting for myself and the crew to experience that kind of notoriety, and we're hoping to get bigger. Nick, thank you so much for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, I gotta ask you, right? How long have you been in shooting now? We met about a year ago now, maybe even?
We met about a year ago. I've been shooting for almost 15 years now.
Wait, come on over here. Do this. All right, you've been shooting for 15 years now?
15 years, yeah.
Okay, all right. So now 15 years of shooting. Your first shooting experience was what now? Where did you pull the trigger for the first time?
Where? Was probably at my uncle's farm with a lovely little Ruger 1022.
Yeah.
That was my first experience.
Everybody gets into the 1022 experience.
That was the first one.
All right. Now, and I mean, did you always have an interest in guns? Did you just pick it up one day and say, you know what, I'll try that? How was it for you?
It started off with hunting because my dad has been hunting since before I was even born. So I was brought up with, it was always bringing something home, or he was gone for a week and then he'd come back and you have all these stories and all these pictures. And it was just an experience that you want to get into. You get excited about it. You want to try it. You want to keep going forward with it. Yeah. And then when you finally get the experience to do it, it's something you can't even explain. Like,
for a lot of people, they fall in love with it instantly. I've met so many people that pull the trigger for the first time, and there's always that adjustment period where they start. They have to be taught how to hold a gun, pull the trigger correctly. All the safety, of course, comes first, but that first time that you actually start hitting, in and around the bullseye, right? You feel that sudden I get it.
Yeah.
Like this, this is what I'm talking about.
Just like,
yeah, and and a lot of people, I think in the public believe that it's all about the power. If you like guns, you must be you're macho man. You must be overcompensating for some kind of deficiency. I could tell you folks out there, I don't feel anything grow hard when I shoot. I don't really get that excited. I mean, I get excited. I'm a pretty enthusiastic guy. I'm a little high strung. Some people would accuse me of that, but I don't get off on it. I mean, I enjoy doing it. I really find a lot of fascinating things in firearms. The engineering, the history. I know that you're a big history fan.
The
stories, and that's another thing. I mean, I bought a number. I bought a few guns in my time.
Yeah, a few.
I bought a few, and over the years, I've had quite a few guns grace my hands, and I always ask the people when I'm buying them, tell me a story. There's got to be a story that goes along with this gun, and it's amazing because some families know nothing about the estates that they sometimes inherit from that uncle that nobody really spoke to that much, and really it's unfortunate. And this is something that I've said time and again, both on the Instagram and some of the podcasts now, that you should really get to know that uncle or your father and his interest in firearms, or if your mother's into it too. Fantastic, but like to spend a little bit of time to learn, exactly what it is that they love about the guns and the stories, because there's always a story that goes with a gun. Always. Whether or not times have changed, certainly in the last 20, 30 years, safety didn't seem to be the most paramount important thing, back in the 80s. I remember the first time I got handed a shotgun. I was let's see, I would have been 12 years old. And I went
fully loaded.
Well, no, actually, no, it was better than that. I got myself to the trap range with a friend of my mother's. My parents had recently divorced, and my mother decided that she was going to start dating again, and something that as a young man, I was not really excited about, at 12 years of age, that there's going to be somebody new potentially in the picture. She kind of prepped me for it, but she had a friend that was a doctor. And, of course, she asked my brother and my sister, as well as I, how we felt about the idea of her dating somebody new. And I knew this doctor had guns.
Some good ones.
I paid a visit to his house with my mother and my brother and my sister at one point, and I saw, he had the display cabinet. He had this glass cabinet, filled with rifles, and I thought, ooh, and he had a pond stocked with fish, and so I knew he had guns. And, my brother, of course, said, no way, I don't want you dating anybody new. He was dead set against it. My sister, I think she started instantly crying the minute she was asked the question. My mother, she was prepared, I think, not to even bother to ask me, because I was definitely the middle child, and I certainly didn't like what was going on in some respects. But, how about if I spend a little time with this man? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? Yeah, Mom, it's time. You're ready. It's okay, right? You have my blessing. That was me as a child, because I knew he had guns, and I really wanted to shoot guns. And so, I was very excited when he asked me to go shoot sporting clay with him for the first time. So he brought me out, and he put this big mesh vest on me that barely fit me. And he, handed me a box of shells, and, he had this Remington 1100 in his hands. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, it's a real gun. It was as tall as I was. I was a big kid, but it was, still a pretty long gun. It had like a 28-inch vented rib barrel, and it was this beautiful, wood was on it, furniture. And he handed me the gun, and he says, have you ever fired one of these things before? And I said, no. He says, put the bullets in here. There's a silver button down there. Push it. Right? Keep it pointed that way. Don't shoot yourself. And he walked away from me. He walked away from me. It was the 1980s, folks. It was a wild time. Right, certainly people weren't thinking to hand a 12-year-old, a firearm. Times have changed. The amount of time and effort and energy that goes into impressing upon people how important it is to be safe at the range is just it's incredible. Nobody that goes to the range isn't left with a very strong impression that you will go home at the first sign of trouble if you don't listen, and or if you do something that puts others and yourself in jeopardy. Safety first. And that's something that we're always going to preach here at the Vault. But back again to, our first time shooting. I mean, you tried it. I mean, you liked it. Obviously, you're still in it.
Oh, of course. I plan to do it for the rest of my life and get my kids into it, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hearing from more and more people these days, is that, the idea that you might be out there and have absolutely no idea that you're going to find an activity that is going to play such an important role in the rest of your life. And it's going to be the kind of thing that dominates, your free time, your pocketbook. Yeah. If I had a nickel for every guy out there that, had to try and slide one past his wife,
You'd be a pretty rich man.
Yeah, there's always a guy that says, I want it, but man, I don't know how I'm gonna get it in the house. She knows I have guns, but if I buy another one this month, she's gonna kill me. You know what I'm talking about, though, right? Like, no, you get guys out there that really want to buy things sometimes, but you got to fit it into the family budget. Like if it means, the bathroom has to get redone first, you may want to get to that first. Guys' hobbies are guys' hobbies, and you can get away with it, I think, once in a while. Treat yourself and maybe slide one past the goalie. But the truth is, you should always refinish the kitchen or the bathroom before you go and buy yourself a new toy.
That's right.
Or you might find yourself in the doghouse eating out of a dish. Yeah. But just the same, or get yourself a girlfriend that shoots. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
That's the other possibility, and I've encouraged a lot of guys to do this in the podcast, is that get yourself a girl that shoots, and or find an open-minded young lady, and rather than suggesting perhaps what a lot of guys do, go go someplace, quiet. Don't go to a range that's really busy. Take your girl and hand her a gun that's going to not knock her on her butt. Like, don't give her your favorite big gun. Give her,
start easy.
Yeah. You get her a 22 and you'll get her popping some balloons. Once you get the fundamentals down and you have her, shooting at a relatively close range, have her start popping balloons or put her on steel and watch her light up, because chances are she'll catch up to you pretty fast.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this short podcast from the Canadian Gun Vault behind the vault door. Nick, it's always a pleasure seeing you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for being here. All right, folks, have yourselves a very safe and happy weekend.